You think this is funny?
In a cosmic sort of way, yes.
Well, Mr. Funny Man, is this how you get your sick kicks?
What? It's just an ordinary crabby... Oh my goodness! Squidward!
Civilization has always been a game about crafting your own story. Every new game, every new map, is a chance to rewrite history in your very own world. At the core of that world is, of course, the map. But in Civilization 7, something feels a little off. Where is the thrill of discovery? Hard to be enticed when you know how the map is going to look 90% of the time. Two big continents separated by a thin strip of tiny islands that are exactly the same distance apart every single time. And who do we have to blame for this? Well, it's hard not to point a lot of the blame at the distant lands, a new mechanic in Civ 7 whereby your home continent is always surrounded by deep ocean. If you're Australian, you know that we would call this being girt by sea, but the problem with every map being girt by sea is that it takes away a key element of early to mid-game exploration, crossing the ocean. In previous Civ games, if you went hard on science, you could, if you wanted to, progress to a tech like shipbuilding or whatever it's called to be able to cross the ocean earlier than other players. There was always that level of expression providing players the choice to explore the world via the seas or focus on other techs to strengthen your land forces or economy back home. Unfortunately, this decision to keep players hard stuck in deep ocean prison until the second era of the game has made this element of exploration and gameplay significantly more one-dimensional. No matter how technologically advanced your civilization becomes, you simply cannot explore beyond your home continent until the game lets you. And something fun has definitely been lost here. The player's agency around how and when they explore the world has been stripped away, and I can't say I'm a fan. Even if it was very late in the antiquity tech tree, or you would have to just brave the rough seas damage with no way to mitigate it, I would love to be able to sail to the distant lands in antiquity. Boats only, no land units, so no settling or anything like that, but at least being able to go over there and suss out what's going on. I feel like this would better capture that essence of making contact with a whole new world across the ocean, but then in exploration, the game finally does open right up and you can actually start interacting with the distant lands in a more meaningful way. However, this still leaves us with a tricky predicament: the highly noticeable and consistent island strip that spawns on every single map. The thumbnail from this video is probably the most glaring example and was basically what put me over the edge to finally make this video, so shout out to Gatrium on the Civ subreddit for capturing this absolute monstrosity. I think this screenshot is far and away the best example of exactly how the distant lands mechanic works when it comes to map generation, and to illustrate this, allow me to use the greatest graphical editor ever created. So let's just draw on our map here real quick. Let's just draw the other continent over here, that's looking good. And now we've got a perfectly serviceable continents map here, looking good. But hang on, these continents are a little far apart. Probably too far to sail between with the rough ocean damaging our ships, so how about we actually just add a little pit stop into the mix? Let's draw some little island chains over here, and let's just move them into the middle, and oops, I think I selected a little too much there. Actually, looks like I've just completely cut off these nice continents I just drew. Maybe I should fix this up or something. It'll be right, all good, ship it. Now to clarify, we don't know if that's how it works exactly, but the maps do tend to be pretty damning when it comes to validating this theory. And that's basically the distant lands map generation in a nutshell. And don't get me wrong, when you're playing it, it doesn't feel quite as bad as the minimap would imply, but that's not much of a consolation prize. Another thing that really starts to grind your gears after a few hundred hours is the way the biomes are laid out in Civ 7, and by laid out, I mean that every map is generated with layers of biomes like a cake that stretch out across the entirety of the map, and once you see it, you can't unsee it. If you find a bit of desert on one side of the map, you can be sure that if you went directly left or right, you will never leave that desert, even if you cross the ocean. The biome never changes unless you exactly go up or down on the map, which is just so bizarre. Yet another black mark when it comes to making the maps all feel samey. Alone, these aren't massive issues, but together, the layout of the map does a massive disservice to the experience of exploration. Civ 7 doesn't allow you to experience a map with, say, a huge expansive rainforest that makes it difficult to traverse between neighbours. I would also add that in my experience, mountains in Civ 7 leave a lot to be desired. You don't get those enormous mountain ranges that Civ 6 had, which could literally cut the map in half, with those tiny gaps throughout, forming natural choke points that made for fantastic and organic city locations. On the whole, I can't help but feel like Civ 7 prioritizes balance over fun in a big way. In probably 99% of games, you just don't get those insane starts anymore, where everything lines up perfectly with an absolute plethora of resources around, and conversely, you don't get those insanely terrible starts, where you have to really scrounge around and play your best to overcome the circumstances you've been put in. You will get a decent start with a decent amount of resources nearby, in a biome that's probably suitable for your leader, and so will every other player. So no one is ever disadvantaged from the get-go, which sounds okay in theory and is great for something like multiplayer, but I just don't think the majority of players want to experience a hyper-competitive, hyper-balanced start every single game. And yes, this gets rid of the experience of re-rolling until you get something decent, but to be honest, I don't feel like I need to play the map anymore. I'm just playing my Civ and leader, which is fine, but again, something was lost with this move, and I feel like the map should be something you interact with and play around meaningfully, rather than just being a backdrop for watching your pre-planned strategy unfold. And yes, I'm aware that you have both the balanced and standard start in the map options, but in my experience, to be honest, this hasn't really made much of a difference. So yeah, Civ 7's map generation, as it stands, is unfortunately a huge step back for the series. The maps are now more predictable than the negative comments on a YouTube short from the official Civ channel. It's the same tired formula every time. Between the girt by sea continents, the identical island strip highways, and the lasagna layers of biomes that assassinate the immersive world, the game's map generation right now feels more manufactured than mysterious. Less like a world, more like a template. And that's all I've got for you today. Leave a like and comment your thoughts down below. What have your experiences with the map generation been like so far? There'll be some more videos on screen right now if you want to see more of my thoughts on Civ 7's latest patch, but regardless, thanks for watching.